Genderqueer Chatters, it's Jo. It's well, it's Monday night right now, but I'm doing Tuesdays for Chris. Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, today, the day you're watching this, if you're watching it on Tuesday. Chris and I switched this week because he was busy. And I just had a couple of things to say before I start on this week's topic. One was, Micah asked me in my last, at the end of my last video, just in the comments there, something I just wanted to touch on. So let me just hold up and read it here so that my face doesn't fall out of the scene. It must be frustrating that people assume so much about you all the time. Why doesn't that prompt you to be a little more obvious? I guess in my genderqueerdom. And it's a good question. I just thought I'd answer that quick before I get into this week's topic. In other words, I'm taking that to mean, why do I choose to look so much like a girl? As opposed to obviously genderqueer. Because I do tend to have longer hair these days. I think I put some pictures. Yeah, I put some pictures. I didn't put a lot of pictures from the years. I think I kind of isolated to like age 21 and 28 for some reason. I was just having a hard time going through the mammoth amount of pictures I had. But I had short hair all through my childhood, and it really kind of damaged me, like to the point that when I was 28, I grew my hair super, super long, like down to my butt. There were pictures of that last week. I really like long hair. I just like it. I like having, I'm a Leo. It's a mane. I don't know. I just prefer to have more hair. Short hair is a lot of maintenance. Short hair requires work. You have to get it cut like every 6 weeks or 4 weeks or 8 weeks. You know, when I have long hair, I just don't get it cut at all, oftentimes for months and months and months on end. And as for clothing, and I think just general appearance, I'm just kind of lazy is what it really boils down to. I just have no desire to work hard at looking a certain way. I just do whatever is easiest. I have a closet full of clothes, and I probably wear the same 10 things over and over again. Partly because I gained a lot of weight this year and a lot of things don't fit me, but I have just, and in the winter I have like 4 sweaters. I kind of alternate. That's about it. And it's hilarious, really. If I were to strive to look more masculine, I think I would probably like the way I look and the way I would like the effect it has. It's just too much work. And I don't really care for, I think people who are fixated on appearances, something about that has always rubbed me the wrong way. I'm not a person who is fixated on appearances. I don't really care what I look like, and I don't care what you think about the way I look. Not you specifically, Mike. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if people think I'm a girl. I really don't. And I don't care if you think I'm not. And I happen to be born this way, and I happen to look, you know, facially, you tell me. There's that, what do you call it? My ex-boyfriend told me this one time. Statue of Liberty nose. You know what? I'm going to splice in a picture of the Statue of Liberty. Check this out. Yeah. Statue of Liberty nose. My mother's chin. Whatever. If I have a masculine face, by some people's estimation, that's fine by me. If I have a feminine face, by other people's estimation, that's fine by me. Okay, that was 3 minutes, and I'm not even into today's topic. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay. This week's topic was brought on by a former genderqueer chat person named Dylan. And Dylan has asked us to touch on a subject based on something Dylan is doing. So I'll just read you what it says. I need your help. My research centers around interviews. I need to find people to interview. I'm hoping I can use the channel as a medium to do this. I've made a YouTube video and I need as many genderqueer people as possible to view it. So I'm going to link to the video below. And please click on it and watch Dylan's video, because Dylan wants people to interview. And it's regarding experiences in therapy. So could you do a theme having to do with therapy? And that mentioned at the beginning that the theme was chosen because I'm working on. So Dylan wants people who have been in therapy regarding their gender. And there's more details in the video below. I can't remember specifically, but I know I'm not eligible because I've actually never been in therapy for my gender. I also don't, I checked the video again, but I think there was reason to believe it might be trans people only. I'm not sure. I have no desire to transition, so I don't know that it affects. But check it below, and please participate in Dylan's project. Okay, so we didn't really get a question this week. The loose topic is therapy. And interestingly, I have had some therapy, and it was therapeutic. I had, twice in my life I've gone for therapy. Once when I was with my ex-boyfriend, who was an alcoholic, drug addict, gambling addict, sex addict. And I was a massive codependent, whatever you want to call me. We went for couples counseling. And we were both flat broke all the time, so we looked at some place in the phone book that just had like a sliding scale, and this woman was awful. She was awful. She said something about she specialized in addictions counseling, and my ex had a lot of addictions, and she insisted on starting every therapy session with the Lord's Prayer, and I told her that really upset me and made me uncomfortable, and that I really wasn't into this. And she said, well, I'm into it, and I need it. This is how I start my therapy sessions. And I was like, okay. So that didn't last very long. She also had a habit of kind of telling Ian, like, you're an addict, you've got a problem, which was true, but that's not really what therapy is supposed to do. Like, point at, like, couples counseling is not supposed to point at one of the pair and kind of blame them for all the problems, right? It's supposed to try and find resolution. And even I knew that the tender age of 27 or however old I was when we were in therapy together. So it was a really bad experience. I guess you get what you paid for. I think it was like 20 bucks a class, or I mean a session or whatever. Many years later, in 2005, something horrible happened to me at work. I was taken aside by my boss, who took me to a Tim Hortons across the street, which is the Canadian Starbucks or whatever. Like, it's a coffee shop. And he told me that everybody in the department hated me, and he thought I should know that. And I have ego issues, shall we say. I think I'm only human when I think anybody would be bothered if their boss took them aside and told them that the whole department hated them. Let's not even get into the issues around why my boss would say that at all, and what the heck kind of person would say that to someone. He really truly did think he was being my friend, if you can imagine such a thing, but he's got his own issues. I was devastated. That was 2005. That was a time in my life when a lot of things were going wrong, and I was having, there were several instances where I had said or done something, said something, expressed an opinion on either a discussion board or in real life or on my blog, where massive amounts of people turned on me en masse. I lost a lot of online friends. I run a discussion board for people without children, and that board fractured at that point, and I ended up being stalked by the crazy woman who went her own way and took half the board with her, because of opinions that I expressed. Now, I am an opinionated person, and I'm very used to taking my lumps as it pertains to, what I say. I take responsibility for the things I say, and I know that I'm not always, I don't always express myself in a kind and compassionate way. I'm often a little bit accusatory. I'm often, I say things that really, really rattle people. When that happened at work, I had expressed an opinion about children in the workplace. My colleagues are notorious for bringing their children to work in the summer. And once one colleague brought her kid and let her kid roller skate around the office and get into the server room, and I thought it was inappropriate, and I said so in my blog. And I got branded a child-hating monster after that. And I work for a school board, so needless to say, this doesn't fly. And my boss made no bones about the fact that I was being perceived as a child-hating monster, and that everyone thought I was some kind of disgusting freak who had no business being employed there. I sought out therapy after that. I went to EAP counseling. About a month or two passed before I sought out counseling. I actually fell into quite a depression that summer, and I couldn't, again, I think I mentioned this in the previous video, I have real issues with the word depression. I don't like to admit that it's me that's suffering from depression, because historically, I don't suffer from depression. I've had a couple of situational experiences in my life and a couple of seasonal experiences in my life. But I've lived with people, a lot of my friends and family and ex-roommates and stuff suffer from like bipolar. So, they're chronically, or I've lived with people who've suffered from depression for, months and months and months. And so for me, after a month or so of noticing that I wasn't blogging, I didn't care anymore about anything or anybody. I didn't have opinions on anything anymore. I'd shut down. I sought out therapy, and the therapist was amazingly helpful. She really, really, really made all the difference to me. One of the things she said, I'll never forget it, was I said, my boss told me at work that everybody hates me, and I'm really having a hard time coping with that. And she said, that's terrible. She went over to her calendar and she goes, well, I've cleared off, she goes, it looks like I've got Thursdays free for the foreseeable future, and I can clear out my schedule for the rest of the year. She said, we'll probably do it like into the next couple of years. I'll just get you every Thursday afternoon from now until further notice, because it is going to take a long time to get through this. We have to list everybody that hates you. At which point, of course, I started laughing, because she's right. Let's list everybody. Who the hell is everybody? Well, it turned out to just be the boss, the secretary, and I think the boss's boss. I mean, there might have been 3 people who really hated me, and they still do, and it's made for, you know, on occasion, an uncomfortable work environment. But I really came a long way after that. I really, really realized it took her kind of making me laugh, like making me reform it in my head to realize, first off, there's no such thing as everybody. That's like crazy thinking. Lots of people don't like me. Lots of people do. It's okay. That's life. I like lots of people. I also dislike lots of people. That's okay too. So I can't control what other people think of me. What I can do is focus on the good things in my life and stop focusing on the negativity in my life. And therapy absolutely helped me with that. Now, I've been thinking lately, in the last couple of years, that I probably should go back to that therapist, because it is free through work. And she was so helpful the first time round, because I could probably stand to use some gender therapy. Although I don't know to what capacity. I'm not as angry as that's for sure. I'm not as angry as I used to be. I used to be very, very angry about my gender issues. Now, if anything, I'm angry about work a lot of the time. I'm angry about the old boys club, which is still gender-ish, but it's not me. It's just I work in a shitty workplace, and that's its own monster. I mean, lots of people work in a shitty workplace. It has nothing to do with gender. And also, yeah, I could probably stand to seek therapy as it relates to the kinds of men that I'm attracted to, as I've mentioned in previous videos. But that being said, therapy has been wonderful for me. I highly recommend it to anybody who has an opportunity to seek out therapy or get it for free, or even if you have to pay for it, don't do what I did. Don't find some crappy thing out of the phone book. Try and get recommendations from friends or whatever. But yeah, wonderful experience for me. And please, again, check out Dylan's video below and respond accordingly. And I'll see you next week. Take it easy. Bye-bye.